Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to World Class Edge. This is Andrea Cimi, your host for the weekly strategic Q&A session. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Let's wait until more people comes in, so we can all be on the same page. And can I get a quick feedback on how the live sessions are going with Tom? I think they're awesome. It's a very direct approach. Pierre says, yes, they are. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Let's wait a couple more minutes till everyone joins. As always, if you guys have any question, you can start shooting them in the chat, especially if you're a beginner. And no, there's no live sessions with Fabio. Fabio is not part of this mentorship. It's amazing how simply he manages to explain the concepts. I mean, the guy has been trading these concepts for decades. So he knows how, and he's also been teaching them for decades. So he's really good at it, guys. Tom is an amazing mentor. I mean, he managed to take Patrick from zero to a world champion in 1 year. Okay? So he's not just your average guru. That's why we hired professionals for World Class Edge. Tom draws business zone in a different way than you did in the world champion method. You might want to clear that out with him or us. I think he just follow the way he does it. As you have seen, he also draws them inwards to take from the top volume node to the lowest one, let's say. So just follow the way he does it and then, refine it your own way. I think Serge is using them also in a slightly different way. And that proves to you that what we are teaching is not a strategy per se, but a full-fledged methodology that you also need to adapt to the way you experience the market through time. And for example, the way I draw business zone is when the volume drops, okay? He's also using the high volume areas. Let's put it here. I noticed that the main thing he does is that when the VPOC is very close to the value area extreme and there is no relevant information beyond the value area, he draws the business zone between the VPOC and the value area extreme. That's absolutely correct. We have the classic Gabriel Bible of questions. I love it. There we go. You should be able to see the screen. Question. Do you use the current weekly business zones as a level of interest, consider a Friday only? Yeah. Weekly value areas are an important level. I've put a 3 to 5 minute footprint chart that displays volume so that when I see it darker inside the zone, I'm looking for it to accept. I view it as acceptance. However, I haven't been able to trust it because I don't quite know what I should spot. Is it a close inside the darker zone or in direction within that range that I seek acceptance? Level business zone, level single print. So here, for example, dark point of control moving lower, yes. So this is the business zone, and this is the price breaking through that business zone. Can you hear me properly, by the way? I'm not even sure I'm using the right microphone.
Now you should hear me way better with a very sensual studio version of the voice, right? Should be better now. Okay, so we got this level single print. Tried a long here. How come did you try a long here? Price was clearly dropping with impressive sell aggression. You don't just buy from a business zone. I'm not sure this is the actual business zone, but with such a selling pressure, one single area of big volume, as you can see here, this is a dark area where there's a lot of volume. That's not enough. We want to see at least another high volume area here, because what that means, if you see it at the lower time frames, this means there was a rejection here, yes. Then we did this here, and that's why we developed a lot of volume, right? The dark area. What you want to see here is also in the footprint, another dark area here that shows you that there was more trading activity going on. That proves to you that we're in an uptrend. But up until here, they've just basically done a B more than a P because they've done this and this. You don't want to long here until we have at least this, right? You didn't have any evidence that price wanted to go higher here. Just because there's a business owner is not enough. And as you've seen, there were more aggressive selling here. I think this is the big trades indicator, by the way, right? Is that correct? So as soon as you see dark areas here, it means that this is the new fair value in the short-term order flow, and it's just shifted from here. So we are still in a downtrend. And as soon as this auction fails and these buyers basically punch a wall after we've broken the zone, that's a really good short ideas. Right? Did you understand what I said? Also, you tried along here. So as we can see, we got more selling pressure coming. Same concept over here. Break above, break in again inside of the area. That's not what you want to long. This is exactly a sell pattern. This one is a sell pattern. It doesn't mean there's a business zone. You need to wait for more confirmation. So what I would do here instead by using the methodology is, okay, I see there's a fair value. I wait for the fair value to shift here and trade this breakout instead if there's high volume here, because this shows me that participation is clearly going higher. Here, you got a bunch of buyers being absorbed at the tops, no follow-up in price, and actually super short levels. Do you understand the mistake? PVD entry. On this type of setup, do we set a limit on the low? Or we wait for candle to close below? From what I remember, if the impulse, this part is big enough, and this happens, they place a sell stop. This is how Patrick trades, by the way, but this is not Tom's favorite setup. As for now, I would strongly advise you to use the setups that Tom is explaining you in the sessions. Here we are in the daily time frame on EuroCAD. I'm not sure why you're shorting EuroCAD. We're fully long on it, by the way, in the live sessions that we host in Italy, because this is clearly failed auction here. Test, new breakout up here, more fair value outside of here. This is long yet. It's not ready for shorts. Unless you just trade because we've kind of created value inside here, but it would be probably better to wait for a failed auction here with clear volume showing you interest to trade inside of the range and then opt to trade to the other side. But this is, I wouldn't say this is a setup that's ready because you got clear rejection still here. Also, this might be a dumb and obvious question. On its formation, example AP, two lower closes, two upper closes. When does it start the count of the two upper closes? Can it be on the lower close one? Example. So let's say this is your last bullish candle. This is one lower close. This is two lower close. Okay. Then once you get this number two, this is your upper level, right? So you count one and two, and that's your upper level. When you have two closes above this level, you need to count one, two, and this is your lower level. Yeah, so you also draw, yeah, it draw it correctly. Yeah, this is drawn correctly. I can confirm. Which one is correct as the low of the P? Green or yellow? So, I'm not sure what this time frame is, but you got this one. This is the first lower close, and then you get an upper close. So that's not valid anymore. So this is the right P. But as I said, this P, if you consider this to be the last impulse after this small retracement, this is a very, it's not so clear as a P, I would say, but yes, technically following the rules, this would be the P. But if price stays more in this range, then probably this is the P. Okay. Like here, for example, I was in a short trade from a business zone, and due to these signals, let me see. So we are in the upper business zone, which is this blue zone. We got a lot of activity here. It's not sure what time is it, your time zone, but you chose to enter. Can you clarify what was the trigger? So we got a P, right? This is our P. We got seller a little bit absorbed here, trying to push lower, trying to push lower. And you can see the auction here is flat, right? We have -2, -1, -2, -2, -1. So this is still responsive auction. We don't have a clear direction here. And we have this area, which is the low volume area, right? You see everything is super light. So from here, usually there's big buyers coming in. And you also see at the bottom, sellers being absorbed here. I would like to see what happened in this candle here. I'm not sure why you sold here, because again, this is still a P. And there's not a lot of evidence, right? Because they just absorbed a bunch of sellers here, and then they pushed up, and that's where you enter. But you enter in a moment where the market is clearly telling you that buyers are in control. So you have a P. Breakout lower, I think you took this as your P, seems to me. You got a breakout lower and finished auctions moving lower. Yeah, finished auction is not really a indication for continuation. Close below point of control right before breakdown. I mean, if you see this P and you just consider this and you want to break out the range, as we said, you have to wait for this breakout, right? To get to this level. So I'm not sure why you entered here. A correct, even though aggressive trade would have been, let's draw the lines. We have upper close, lower close, lower close. So this would be the top. Then you got upper close, lower close, upper close, upper close. So this is your qualified range on the 5-minute time frame. So you would have to wait this. Okay? Because up until now, this is a continuation P. You don't have signals to enter the reversal setup yet. It's a little bit risky trade. I don't know. I'm not sure if this was a target. Then I added on a failed auction, but I moved my stop to the top of that swing that closed above the P, since that's one of the patterns. Then I got stopped and it went to target. I mean, that can happen. So you added a contract here after taking the high. It's not really a safe trade. Okay, this is the most risky setups. I hope that's clear for Gabriel. I just feel sometimes we get a range of 5 minutes and it's enough for a strong move. Yeah, sort of. Speed. How can we identify speed? You need to look it in the order book, but I think Serge will explain it to you in the next live sessions. Is it going to bid and going to ask consistently? Yes. When you see the order flow speed super fast and changing all the time, the order book is changing really fast. That's what we call speed. But also we have an indicator that you can look on deep charts that it's called tape speed. That gives you an indication of when the speed of the order book is going higher. Fast move up, fast moves down. No, when we talk about speed, we talk about specifically speed of the order book. So when you see the order book and it's going crazy. Can we spot it on a blank tick chart like 10 ticks? And if candle starts spawning fast, it means there's speed. I mean, you should ask our order flow specialist, Serge, but I don't think that's how he defines it. He defines it in the order book when he sees a lot of trading activity and all the orders in both the bid and the ask going super fast, changing really fast, price going up and down really fast. On swing trading, I tried to get my monthly business zone. If there's a rollover in the previous month, do we still consider the levels equally? Yes. And you can adjust the chart based on volume or daily levels. And we will give you a setup that Serge did, where he considers the rollovers, I think, volume adjusted. But this is a technicality that you should ask to him. Pre-market plan. Your first step is to look to the 30-minute charts and check for previous trending areas and previous consolidation areas. Do you only consider cash session or you consider every session? Only cash. As far as I'm concerned. But again, specifically depends on the asset because sometimes, for example, DAX futures is moving a lot of money even outside of the cash session. And so also ask Tom how he's doing it on the different types of assets. Inside candle confirmation. On which time frame should we look for this? From what I've seen on the daily, it seems to do a good part of the move while completing the pattern. For context, let's say we approach a level of interest. So our confirmation is an inside bar. When it closes above or below, we enter. What if this happens? Would scenario one still be valid? It's not really clear for me. A new low. From this point on, do we wait for a new inside bar? I'm not using the inside bar. This is did Tom explain you the inside bar strategy? Because I'm not so familiar with it, so I would rather let him answer the questions. I'm sorry, guys, if I cannot answer most of the questions, but specifically what we're trying to do here is to address specifically beginners' questions to understanding the basics of it. So if there's stuff that you ask me that are specific to how Tom takes into consideration specific stuff that he's explaining in the live session, you should ask him. You have daily live sessions with him as well. Stop loss trading. I had this stop tick on my trailing stop, moved my stop to the upper part of the B. Let me check first. So we have up here and you short here. Guy, you're a reversal trader, man. You are one hell of a reversal trader. Can I say this? And here you short again, you move the stop loss here. It wasn't a business zone. Right. Was this wrong? I mean, Especially if you enter, let's say, a more aggressive type of trades where you just sell off of a P, so you go for the reversal setup, I would technically say that it's not completely wrong to take, to move your stop loss. But instead of moving your stop loss, I would take profit earlier, personally, because I know it's an aggressive setup. But I hope very soon Patrick will do some of these live sessions because he can give you some more ideas on this pattern. But as you can see here, that probably was a great trade at the breakout of this. Also had this one, was following market structure, but again, ticked me. Let's see. So we have a P. Oops. We have this little P here, this other P here. Okay. So you longed here. How? At this test? It's usually better to wait for a failed auction here. But that's okay. You went for a continuation trade. And then you placed your stop loss above. Why exactly are you using a trailing stop? I think you should only use a trailing stop wherever you see there's a big volume area and place it under, rather than following just price action, right? Because it can spike out before going up. But if there is a strong area of value with a high volume area on the bottom, that's where you want to protect under. You want to be protected at an area where there's a lot of interest, because it's likely if they come back, they will defend that area. So just stay behind it instead. This is how I would approach it. But I'd never seen Tom using a lot of trailing stops. I don't use trailing stops personally, so you can also ask him on how he thinks it's best to use them. Earnings surprise. On the earnings threat Fabio mentioned, I'm not going to give a deep dive on this. It's not part of the strategy. It's just, some extra he gives in the free live sessions for everyone. Business Zone. Is it possible to get a class about Business Zone directly from Tom? Yes, I can ask him. First time I witnessed Tom link his Business Zone, I got confused. Try wrapping my head around it. Came to a possible conclusion that has to do with the opening variance. For example, I'm not sure it has to do with the opening area. The opening variance. I think it's more about the shape of it, right? So I will ask him to clarify, okay? Maybe in the next live sessions. Now let's get back to the other questions. Sometimes my depth of market follows the price, but I sometimes have to scroll up and down with the mouse to follow the price. Where in the settings can I set it to automatically follow the price? I think you just double click it. If you just double click the center part, it just goes automatically. How would you draw a business zone here? Let's open it and share it. So how I would draw a business zone. Yeah, I would probably draw it like this. And this one is a little bit tricky. Like personally, I would draw it here because I just look at volume. I just don't look at the percentage. I just need to see where the big volume is. The big money is here. And the latter, like the closest areas are my business zone typically. Or you can be more generous and do it like this, for example. But personally, when I see this big of a drop in volume, that's definitely what I'm looking for when drawing a business zone. Why? Because here there were interest, there were trading activity. As soon as these prices were considered cheap, sellers were kicking in. These prices cheap, sellers were kicking in. And then these prices were deemed at not so fair. And so market pushed up and did probably something like this. Or opposite way, right? Can also be that price. No, price actually opened here, yeah. And then it closed back inside. So probably we did something like this during the session, and then back inside of the range and stayed here for most of the session. Yeah. So I will look at price, look at volume, and decide that this is probably going to be my upper area, and this is going to be my lower area. I struggle to identify a proper breakout on higher time frame daily. The main thing I look at is volume. What would you recommend? I look at both price and volume on the daily. So in the daily chart, I wait for a closure that closes outside with big volume at the top or at the bottom if I'm trading a breakout. I think so. I just feel like sometimes when a range of like 5 minutes is enough for a strong move, meh. Will you give a masterclass on the GEX? If there's a high request, I will 100% do it. There's a beautiful question from Kishti that I want to keep for last because it's a very beautiful question. I'll get rid of all the technical questions first, and then we'll end with the mindset bomb. Andrea, how do we interpret CVD and price divergence? You should not care too much for now because it's not part of the strategy. Hello, Andrea, and hello, people. Have some question. Thanks. Let's try to see our friend David's question. Finished auction, buyers in control. Is that correct? Yes. Finished auction over here. Finished auction, 50 more buyers interest, but the color of the number is not green. That means sellers are tracking absorption and imbalance here. Correct. So the thing is here, as I said in that video, when the number is blue, you have a higher imbalance. When the number is green, you have a slightly lower imbalance, right? And when you see 50 contracts here, it clearly means that buyers are trying to push here, but there's a passive seller absorbing all of that selling pressure. So that's correct. What's the difference in having the POC in the middle of the candle or in the top or bottom in other possible example? I understand POC is the price in with sellers and buyers are more in agree, but in terms of bias, how can it be interpreted and accompanied with order flow? Very, very simple. If exactly like you use a volume profile, if you see the POCs are going higher, it's a signal of acceptance, right? But in super, super small time frame, I mean, it can be useful for scalping, but it's not that useful, I would say. But if you see it in the middle of the candle, it means that not only there was an exchange here, but there was also a follow-up. Here instead, it could mean that we're here at the moment. So we need to wait for a further breakout, for example. If we break out from this, then it's better. Here we've already broken out. Do you understand what I mean? Your trailing stop has been an impressive precision, Gabriel. Nice. When is the Deep Charts web interface launching? Probably November, guys. Oh, I'm skipping a lot of questions because every time you comment, they rearrange. I know it's not really that talk about in World Class Ed, but do you care about the VIX at all? Not for short-term trades, unless, I mean, if you want to have a option-based data on implied volatility, then you should use the GEX, which I may show you sometime. But the GEX is very expensive data for a good reason, I would say. Now let's look at this other question. This is gold trade for September. This is a question for Tom, man. I'll leave this to Tom. If that's a trade that he took, I want him to answer. CVD, let's again not put too much stuff on the table. Yes, but it's different from the PBD style, the inside bar strategy that is. Yeah, it's slightly different. That's why I'm specialized in the PBD stuff. But when it comes to inside bar and more technical stuff, please ask Tom. I draw my business zone prior to the value area and prior 1 +1 -1 standard static view up seems to work. Right now for natural gas. Right, so you also take into consideration the static VWAP. Okay, that's an interesting thing you're trying. I've never tried something like this. I cannot tell you if it's a smart approach, because you would probably have to update the value area very frequently, like the business zone very frequently, because the VWAP is technically dynamic and it varies. So yeah. Is there going to be specific lessons for swing trading? That's not the main focus on the course. You scroll up to my other comment. Which one? Yeah, I answered already. Are we meant to use the cash session on the daily, weekly profiles? No, that's where they use normal sessions. Sorry, for the weekly profiles, they use all of session. For the daily, they just use the cash session. It's the prior VWAP. Okay. I've come to sort of understand that PBD is a way almost to derive what volume profile would look like from price action. Is it an accurate thing to say? Absolutely. Absolutely, Stefan. That's exactly what it is. That's why we call it technical derivation, because it's derived from volume analysis, but simplified in candlestick terms. Andrea, when in an uptrend, I spot a 30-minute valid range, P for example, is there another clear 5-minute range? Can I trade that? If it's going to the same direction, I would technically say yes. If you want to have a better timing, you can use the P on the lower time frame as well. Like, let me make an example. If, for example, you got this P in the 30 minutes and you got this going on and you want to trade here, if you scale and zoom this to the lower minute time frame, it will probably look something like this. This being the lower part of your 30-minute P, and you basically do the same thing. So you have a double P, a PP. Bjarni Thors from Iceland asks, PBD strategy, what time frame is best to use it? Since the lines will have different placements for different TP or different time frames, right? So the PBD patterns are just the summarizing of volume profile, right? As I just discussed. So they are a fractal concept that you can apply in multiple time frames. So depending on your time horizon, if you're a scalper or if you're a more of a swing day trader, so intraday swing, if you're doing intraday swings, I would suggest you to stay in the 5-minute time frame. If you're a scalper, I would suggest you to stay in the 3 to 1 minute time frame. For example, me as a swing trader, I use the daily one. What to do if assets starts trading below the bottom line of the P pattern? Move the line, or is the pattern just broken and I can expect price to trade lower? So let me answer again. Let's use a whiteboard. First time using it. So if you have a P And you got this line, and price starts trading below. One of the setups is you trade the double breakout, as you know. And only then you can, go and opt to fade this impulse, especially if it's a stop run, for example, right? Or a lot of time I like to use it under news. If the news is super vertical and then it creates some fair value here, after it's done this and this, I'll wait for a second sort of failed auction. So we get another P here. And as soon as it breaks, then we move to the beginning of the impulse to fill the liquidity void that happened inside here. I'm not sure how to delete everything. Anyway. Okay. Do you know if it is a part of the PBD method to expect price to either trade out of the zone and return into it so that we can enter then and trade out of the PBD zone we made? I did check this on BTC and it seems to retrace deep often into present session or mix of previous present low volume node and shoot hard away from the low volume node. I'm not quite sure I understood this question. If you can shoot me an example in the chat, I would highly appreciate, Bjarni. The PBD strategy can be used for swing trading. Just use the higher time frame and look for the same structures. Correct. What are the top 3 scenarios when tape speed is relevant in a pre-entry or entry setup? Whenever you're looking for a breakout, that's where you want to look for speed. If there's a lot of speed in the breakout, that's a tradable breakout. Out from a P, like up from a P or down from a B. Can the strategy be used for swing trading? Yes. I'd like to share the whiteboard. I don't know what's the question. You can make us a drawing and screenshot it. I want to answer to the previous question from, I wish this name, I'm gonna say it perfectly. Kshiti Kausal. Did I say it correct? So I have a mindset question from you, Andrea. From beatboxing to trading professional to building world-class edge with world champion and now deep charts. How did you practically engineer that path? And what were the key leverage points that made it possible? When people see your success, they might call it luck, but behind the curtains is years of work and connection. How do you personally define luck in trading, connections, and what advice would you give to someone who wants to engineer their own shot? This is a fucking... Bro, give this guy a podcast or something. Just say K. Okay. Okay, K. It's going to be a tough one to answer. So, there's like luck. I define luck as the incompetent definition of low probability, right? We know that a crash in the market might come tomorrow. We know that a black swan event might exist, but we underestimate the frequency at when that could happen. So whenever something lucky comes, it's just a low probability setup, right? It's something that has a low probability of happening. People called it luck, but truthfully, you have to make yourself lucky. If you show up every single day, you're going to get lucky. Lucky people are simply people that showed up every single day and put themselves in a position to get lucky. The contacts that I have, the network that I have been developing, the companies, they are all not just a matter of luck or being at the right place at the right time, but being at the right place all the time. so that you wait for the right time to come. And when that right time comes, the difference between lucky people and unlucky people is that lucky people choose to take that opportunity. They seize the moment. Carpe diem, you know? And all of my journey, I have been lucky because I've showed up every single day in front of my charts, because I've never missed a call. I've never missed an opportunity to be kind to people, to be kind to Patrick, to be kind to Tom, especially in the early stages of our our collaboration. I've always been, if you're kind to people, it's amazing what that thing can do. If you are useful to people, it's amazing the things it can do for networking. But you need to be useful for people. You need to be competent first so that people can trust you, and people that are a higher echelon of where you are in your niche, they can trust you only if you're very competent and you're providing value. What we did with Patrick, for example, is we posted a lot of videos with them first. We sent them a lot of potential clients. We promoted them. We talked really good about them because they deserved it. Someone is activating their audio for some reason. So, and with trading, that's where luck can really kick in. But if you don't know how to manage your lucky days, luck will undo itself. Because if you get super hyped for your lucky days, lucky as in you get a big, good trading day, if you're not ready to have that luck, you're going to fuck it up later because you're going to feel omnipotent. But I had the luck, thanks to my network that I've built, to be able to talk with professionals and really learn the best strategies in the world. And as of now, I'm currently trading a very thin edge in the options market, and it's absolutely crushing it, like crazy returns. And so if I have to give a suggestion in your niche, but this is mostly business, be kind to people and be useful to people, be competent, and especially with trading, show up every single day. Show up every single day. Even if you're not going to trade, show up. Actively correct mistakes. Be in the position that when the big wave of the markets come and the big profits can be made, you are present and you're not going to get your mind fucked up by euphoria. Luck is where hard work meets opportunity. Correct. Claim the fruits of the seed you plant. Correct. Can speed be shown within a footprint? Listen to me. Do try the speed of tape indicator. Make your own lucks. Correct. I don't want just to learn trading from you all, but also the mindset you all are living. How to engineer luck. Luck isn't magic. It's simple math. It's the result of relentless effort meeting extended time surrounded by the right people. That's how you create opportunity. That's how you find leverage. Most people never will. 1 in 100,000 might be born into favorable condition, but the rest of us can manufacture our shot through consistency, through connection, to doing the right work over and over until the world has no choice but to call it luck. This was your story on Insta. When I read it, I get to be mentored by you. Glad to hear that. That's true. When we're born, we're given some cards to play the game of life. And it's up to randomness and up to fate, the cards that we're dealt with at the beginning. If you're born in a very poor environment, in a very unfortunate environment, like that can happen. But no one's coming to save you anyways. And that's why I am grateful to have lived in not such a privileged environment. I'm from a very low income middle class, but still in Italy. Italy is a very rich country compared to most countries in the world. So I consider myself extremely lucky with the cards that I've dealt with, that I've been dealt with. That's why I'm always super, super grateful and showing to God and to the universe my gratefulness by working extremely hard every single day and never giving it for granted. But if you're born in a unlucky condition, so what? I'm sorry. Like, but so what? What you gonna do about it? Did you make more money trading on business? Uh, if you don't want to answer, no problem. I made more money from business, but the money that I'm starting to make now is way more from trading. And it's going to be in the next 5 years, I'm going to make way more money because what I'm doing is I've used trading as a cash flow business for probably a year that I was just doing day trading. I managed to make 75 to 100K from prop firms and I got profitable. And then with Fabio, we decided that we opened an academy because his strategies are awesome. The traders we collaborate with are awesome. We started doing live session, and that's really profitable. And then I started taking the money that I made from business, put it into my trading account. And now I'm gradually starting to finally compound all of that money. And in the next few years, with the strategies I'm using, like it's going to be way more from trading. So I compound the money I've made through businesses because business, especially in the early stages, is a much more efficient or much more effective, let's say, cash flow source. But it even is any job that you can do online. For example, I have a lot of people that were in sales and they made a lot of money through sales and they funded their trading with it. And now they're living out of trading because you have to be smart with finances. At the beginning, in the early stages of trading, the first 1, 2 years, you're not going to make a lot of money technically. It's very, very hard. So if in the first couple of years you manage to save money with a high paying freelance job that you can find on the internet, as of today, for example, we are constantly looking for copywriters, for salespeople, for graphic designers, for video editors. If you manage to have a high paying skills, then you can let that fund your trading while you learn. Now that we are on the topic, what role does God play in your success, if any? So for a long time, I was not, let's say, I was against the idea of God, mostly, let's say, the religious idea of God, um, because I've read the book thoroughly, especially the Bible, and I read it with the Jewish transliteration, and I've read it, and I was like, yo, this is the not the God that Christianity told me it was, and so for a long time, I've kind of resented the religion more than the idea of God. But I agree, like I agree that the universe, I call it universe. Okay, you can call it the energy, you can call it God. I don't believe that the God I'm referring to is written in those books, for example, but that's just my opinion. And but it plays a huge role, and it plays a huge role by being in line with who you are and being honest to yourself. That's the most important thing. Is option market more profitable in the sense that returns are higher on trades that will be similar in size are in the future markets? I find options super complicated. I would rather trade something I understand better. Options are complicated. You don't just start trading them. I personally sell options. I use mostly short volatility strategies, but it requires a deeper level of understanding on financial mathematics, understanding what's gamma, what's delta, what's vega, what's vana, how to profit from theta, from time decay. It's more complicated, more complicated. But yes, you can make crazy returns, both for long-term strategies and short-term strategies. I heard we'll begin to have one instead of two live sessions per week. Why? No, actually, we just joined them because we plan to have two separate sessions with a break in between. But the days where there's two live sessions, you're going to just do more longer time live sessions. That's what Tom told me. I'm born in the middle class in Indian family, way poorer than you, but I'm still going to prove myself through my work and my obsession with the financial markets and timing. And the timing you all, Patrick, Fabian, Serge, and especially you are giving my second chance to life. And this course is not going to change my life, but my entire family. I'm very grateful to connect with the goats. I'm going to do my absolute best, and I'm sure Tom and Patrick will, to make you the most proficient trader possible. We will add more stuff and we'll give you all the tools to become profitable. And then it's just about keeping the consistency up and trading smart and not hard necessarily. Is there any Surge Footprint Masterclass? In the next few weeks, he will explain you how he uses Footprint. I think he's going to explain you one of his NASDAQ patterns that has been decently profitable throughout the last year, I think. Anyway, good luck, Kay. I have a question. I was in Morpheus Education. I thought it was TTT all the time. I got confused today. I know there's a meeting with Patrick, Fabian, Serge. Huh? There's not a meeting with Patrick, Fabian, Serge. Anyway, Morpheus Education is Italian education. And there's a little masterclass from, Patrick, Jonathan, and me on the TTT strategy, but there's no 6 months of live session, But in the Morpheus Education, there's Fabio's strategy, but only in Italian. Fabio's strategy will be explained in English later on. We're done for the question today as well, guys. Okay. If I use my own capital, how much would be a good starting amount to grow the account compared to trading a prop firm? That's a very personal question. It depends on what the capital is, how much your aversion to risk, what's your age, if you have any other source of income. There's a lot of things that comes into that. I don't feel qualified, or I don't feel like I have enough information to give you this answer. And I don't want to give it anyways, because it's very personal. It would be financial advice. I cannot elargire. I don't know what's the English for this word. I cannot tell. Fabio will explain something here? No. Do you think one live session per week is enough to learn? No, guys, there's going to be 5 live sessions. There's one every single day. I was told it was a trading floor expecting to be more at least 3 per week. Yeah. There are, guys. Tom is doing live sessions every day. Yeah, please check the Discord with all the... But trading floor, because you see in the calendar, we only have one. I think there was at least 2 live trading session, and then it's pre-market preparation. By the way, the first week, it's mostly about learning the basics of Tom's approach, because as you've seen, it's different. And everyone explains it in a little bit of a different way. So first, we want to get all the basics through and everyone on the same page on how Tom reads the market. And then we're going to start with the live trading. Needs some time. But just for a few weeks, guys. Yeah. It's I'm gonna check with the team, by the way. I'm gonna check with the team. Schedule was modified. That's weird. Okay. I'll talk with them and let you know in the Discord, guys. I have not been active in the Discord because I've been recreating my whole house and office this last few weeks, and we're focused on so many other stuff. But we have some people inside of the Discord that are there to help you. In the schedule. The schedule looks okay. Schedule looks great. Maybe they just fixed it. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Wish you appreciated this live sessions as well. See you in the next one. And if you guys ask me in the Discord, in the feedback session, or in the request section, I will make you a gamma exposure masterclass. That's okay? And I will see you in the next one. Have a great one, everyone.